Hello, welcome. We're here with our Canadians Leading with Impact podcast. I'm Troy Trelevin, and I'm joined by my co-host Kevin Crone. And today we're really excited to have a guest that we've known for many years, and we're so honored to have this person with us today. He is the president CEO of JFE Shoji Power in Burlington, Ontario. His name is Ron Harper. And Ron, we got to know him back years ago, back when, I think it was before Cogent Power. It was
well before Cogent Power.
Yeah.
I don't really want to count that far back, but it was over 30 years ago. That I attended the first course. Yeah.
Right on. And you had an interesting story of your introduction to
Dale Carnegie.
You really want me to say? Yeah. So I was working for a chemical company, and this was over 30 years ago. And I had a boss, and we were going through some challenging times, and he was trying to help me be a little firmer with one of our very demanding customers. And he said, I took this course a while back that was pretty good, and it tells you how to F off and not really upset everybody. He says, it's called the Dale Carnegie course. You should probably take that. And that's how he introduced it to me. And I thought that was a little bit of a crass intro, but
we like it.
I ended up taking the course. In my youth and kind of my early life, I was extremely shy person, and I think that I attribute one of the things that helped me come out of my shell a little bit, the Dale Carnegie program that I attended. I actually was a graduate assistant.
Oh, wow.
3 or 4 times after that, I started the instructor course too.
But kidding.
Yeah,
Then my work life caught up to me.
Yeah.
I think my wife and I had our first child.
Spending too much time with Dale Carnegie than with your first child.
So I had to get off that path, but it's something that has really been a real staple for my thinking and my career, and has been a real guide for me. And it was a great experience when I did it, and I believe that you learn a lot by trying to teach somebody else something, and that's why I got involved with the graduate program and started the instructor, because I thought it was really work that was very valuable and could contribute a lot to people, especially people that were aspiring to be leaders and to help them fulfill their potential. So it was a great start to my career, and I'm very thankful for that.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I love hearing that, your origin story, how you came to connect with this. But now, as I remember, your background, farm, isn't it? Right?
Yes, I grew up in a dairy farm south of Hamilton in the Caledonia area. I was actually my one grandfather. I have several generations of grandfathers that were dairy farmers, including my father, and my mother's father was a Lake Erie fisherman. So in both of my families, I actually was the first person to ever go to university, which was an interesting experience, going from a rural farm life to London, Ontario, and in my first year of engineering was a bit of a wake-up call.
So you went to Western?
Yeah, I went to Western. That was my the start of my life, and at the time I didn't think it was a great life experience, because all the kids I knew that lived in town or didn't live on farms, they had lots of time to do lots of things. But I being on a farm, there was always work to be done, and my dad shared that out with us. But I look back now and just say I was so fortunate to have that experience, and to have that grounding. So
how does that still shape you as a leader?
I think that, especially I've spent my entire career in manufacturing. The folks that end up in manufacturing, it is starting to change, but historically, you've got people who are more tacit learners. They like working with their hands. They don't like sitting at desks or doing that kind of work. So, and generally don't have often don't have post-secondary education. I think that it's really helped me relate to all of the people inside of our company, with our clients, et cetera, because all of the folks that work in our manufacturing operations, be that in a maintenance team, operating team, they're my first cousins, because so many of my immediate first cousins and many of the friends I had growing up, that's them. So I understand the background, the challenges, especially when it comes to dealing with shift work and how that conflicts with your family, because I could see that in my extended family too. So I think that made a big difference. But the one thing, and it may sound a little philosophical, but the one thing that I've thought about growing up on a farm, there are seasons and patterns in farms in terms of growing, planting seeds, caring for the, fertilizing, tilling, et cetera, and then harvesting, and then that cycle, I think, repeats itself in a lot of our human systems, and having that kind of grounding, I think, has given me a little bit of a sense of that. But just
some kind of perspective where you're at in a business cadence or model. Okay, so we're in the planting seeds here or fertilizing, and let's be patient because we're going to sow the seeds.
Well, and I think that's part of it. Is when you do things, you're planting the seeds of what might come in the future. And if you plant poor seeds, you're going to get a poor harvest. I think it's that kind of thinking. And the other thing that I believe that it helped just the sense of work ethic and how important it is to be grounded and adding value and contributing really came out of my experiences as a child on the farm. And the other thing I often say, and especially, and this relates a little also to what we're the subject to today. I tell people often, well, I had to be a problem solver as a kid because if my dad sent me to the back field to mow hay and the baler broke, he expected me to have the baler fixed and a load of hay by the time he came back. Right. It wasn't, oh, well, isn't that too bad? It was. I was expected to get it done, and whatever was in the toolbox would be used to fix the problem. Right. So it was you just that resourcefulness. You had to kind of you had to solve a problem, and I do think because a family farm is a small family business, you learn a lot as a child working in a family business, and if you don't, the family doesn't do the work, the family doesn't eat. So it's part of that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot of that has been grounded in the approach and the way I've approached my work.
Yeah. Well, I bet you didn't think you were going to talk so much about your background on the farm.
You guys did give me the question ahead of time, so I didn't know.
I don't know what's coming. Well, as we talked about, Kevin and I got really concerned, I guess, a few months back, as there's so many changes going on, and the Canadian-U.S. relationship was going on, and we're hearing, the tariffs. We're going to talk about how you've directly been having to deal with those. But I guess our thought was it seemed like Canadians were, I'm totally generalizing here, but Canadian business and business leaders were almost blindsided by what was going on in the States, how it was affecting us. And we said, we need to get this message out. We want to think about and talk about and get Canadian leaders focused on this whole idea that we need to compete. We need to do things differently. We need to, like some of the numbers where Canada's productivity is like number 11 of all the developed countries. Right.
It's such a shocking number, when we're living in our own Canadian context and bubble. And then when you see numbers like that, it's like, how can that be? We're such a modern, top country in the world, standard of living. How can our productivity and effectiveness be so low in comparison to other, countries?
Right.
And so while all that rhetoric was happening, or still happening, we're like, okay, so let's talk to leaders, Canadian leaders that are really doing it, like really making an impact, and see what they say about it all. And what are your observations, or as this all been transpiring, and How do you think about that, Canada and the world of business? You have a Canadian, you think of business international, not just Canadian, of course.
I think that, so I've been working in manufacturing businesses for 40 years. And I think, to your point, Kevin, one of the things that we've lost over the last 40 years is a sense of creating value. And that's one of the things that manufacturing businesses do and service businesses do. They create value. I think we, as a country, one of the reasons our productivity is in decline is that we have not really been leaning on creating value inside the country and for exports. We've been leaning on, selling rocks and oil to fill our economy. So when I started working many years ago, I worked for a long time in supporting the pulp and paper industry in Canada. And that, I have very vivid memories of traveling across Northern Ontario, Northern Quebec, New Brunswick, Western Canada, et cetera, visiting prosperous paper mills that were pumping out fine papers, newsprint, et cetera. And over the last 30 years, we've lost that. We still make pulp, sell the pulp to somebody else, China or wherever, and then buy their paper back. So we've retracted from the value chain, not expanded the value chain. And I think that's one of the reasons why the productivity in our country has been in decline, is because we just haven't focused on adding value to what we're producing and exporting. And I think that's part of the wake-up call that we need to face in the country. The other industry I spent when I was in university, 3 years working at the Esso refinery on Lake Erie and Nanticoke.
Well, yeah.
Look at how many refineries across Canada have been closed in the last 25 years,
Right.
and we're sending oil to U.S., Houston area, et cetera. We're sending oil to them for them to refine it to sell it back to us.
Right.
That's the value that we've lost. And there's no one to blame or no one reason, but I think that's a big part of the wake-up call that the current situation requires us to transform from.
Right. So we haven't practiced adding value we don't really think about it in some ways. It's more
The globalization, it's like the evolution of it. Globalization kind of took over the mindset of Canadian businesses and industries, and versus just focusing more locally.
And I think globalization was always there, but it's globalization of what you provide the world and what you bring in from the world. I think that's what needs to be really reassessed. And the manufacturing that we have remaining is so reliant on U.S. business and U.S. markets for the amount that we do export. That's what's put us in a vulnerable position with the politics around what's going on right now. Our business exports roughly 70% of our production and 70% to the USA.
Wow.
So we're part of that trend. They're our closest neighbor, a large market, so it makes a lot of business sense. I think, though, that we have become a little too reliant on that, and we need to rethink that. I wish we didn't have to rethink it, but the circumstances are such that we do need to do that. And
do you think this is going to be a permanent shift, or is this temporary, a few years?
Well, we before we got started here, we talked a lot about trust. We were talking, the work that I've done on trust relationships in business, et cetera, and Meister's work with the trusted advisor. Trust's been broken at the political level. I don't have any less trust of our clients. We have great clients in the U.S.
Right.
Very supportive, and appreciate the value that we're providing. But tariffs have just made that value a lot more expensive,
right.
And it's how we navigate through that. I think that's really an important question. I don't think it's going to deteriorate as badly as some people, kind of the worst case scenario predicts it to be, but it's maybe an overdue wake-up call for us in terms of You talked about productivity. That didn't start in January. Reducing countrywide productivity didn't start in January. That's been going on for a long time. So maybe this is the wake-up call we needed to move forward. I've been writing a few things on and that haven't really been put out there yet. But I look back at the history of Canada and where we've had to as a country face difficult circumstances and build our way out of it. And I've been kind of researching some of the stories, and there's a couple of interesting ones that I think about. One of them is that at the beginning of the Second World War, we had almost no Navy, but by the end of the Second World War, Canada had the third largest Navy in the world by number of ships.
Wow.
By number of ships.
Right.
Not by battleships, but by the total number of ships we had. We had the third largest Navy behind the U.S. and Britain. But we started in 1940 with zero, effectively zero. So we quickly started shipbuilding programs in Halifax, in Collingwood, Thunder Bay, and we knew how to rally together and build things. And if anybody knows the story of the AV Row Company and the Avro Aero, we developed a world-beating aircraft that was so world-beating that our government stopped because they didn't want to be at the front end of the Cold War. So. As a country, we've rallied and done that, and I think that's the kind of spirit that needs to be put into effect today. And it just hasn't reached a chronic enough state, I think, for people to rally at that level. But
so it's got to get worse before.
I hope not.
Right?
I certainly hope not. But that's the mindset and the shift that needs to come. And I think not to be overly political, but I think our current government, because I've been working with them a lot the last couple of years, the current government wants to do the right thing, is trying to do the right thing, and is trying to really make this change. But it's going to really require a strong partnership and collaboration to rally around that and shift and transform the way we need to, I believe.
Yeah. Well, you talked earlier about your farm days when you had to get the haymow going again. It was up to you.
The baler had to get
going.
going.
The baler had to get going. Would you say that's the kind of mindset I don't know how, but more, is that the kind of mindset we're going to be required to have as a people?
I think that's a big part of it. If we collectively sit back and say, well, what's the Liberal government going to fix? How are they going to fix it? That's going to fail because it's going to require all of us to do that. And we talked about some of the things we learned earlier when we were younger. I attended a training course one time from a industrial psychologist. The entire leadership of the company I was working with there. The only thing I really remember from that is towards the end, he concluded with a saying. He said, "If it is to be, it's up to me." If you walk around every day saying, "If it is to be, it's up to me," your company will be successful.
Wow.
And I think that also applies to today's situation, is that if everyone in Canada can contribute that way and say, if I want something to be better, different, etc., I need to start with that mindset. It's not, if it is to be, it's up to the government, or if it is to be, it's up to my company. If it is to be, it's up to me.
Right.
And I think that's where it needs to start.
Great message. I know so many. We work in so many different kinds of companies and industries and businesses, and I think if you were to share that message, say with a management team, they'd go, we're up for that, but I don't know about our people, our employees. They are cynical about that. Try to get a mass group of people to come together and work at an organization with that kind of mindset. They would kind of roll their eyes and almost.
I think the problem is the opposite of that. The one who needs to change first is the leader. And if the leader doesn't change,
You just took the words right out of it.
sorry.
Yeah, no, but that's it.
Sorry, I thought you were doing a handoff
So
there.
no, it is a handoff, and but them, say the managers and rolling their eyes, because we sit around with the management teams and ask them questions, how things going here, about and you could see their resignation in their eyes. It's not necessarily the people or something, it's their own attitude and mindset, and it's like, how did we get here? I know the pandemic.
I think it needs to start with changing the language. Your job is not to manage, your job is to lead. And that is a shift that's really essential to be an inspirational force for your team. If it's facing problems, challenges, creativity, innovation, whatever, you need to lead that, not manage that. And
what is the difference from your point of view?
From my point of view, leadership is inspirational. It provides direction. It does not provide control, and it's kind of follows the mindset of, hey, we're going in this direction. I'm inviting you to follow me. And there's two. I often talk about two types of power in an organization, or in life for that matter. You've got position power, where you've got authority that the organization gives you because of the title or where you sit on the hierarchy of the organization, and you have personal power. I believe that personal power is far greater than organizational power in terms of its impact on the results of a team, of an organization, et cetera. And people look at me funny sometimes, but I invite them to lead as if they have no power.
Right, right.
Lead as if you have no hierarchical power.
Right.
You need your only ability to lead is to create followers, to inspire them, to invite them to move in a direction with you, give them autonomy, not control, give them the tools they need to work with, and a good goal and direction of how to get there, and support them with that. And I think something that is often too much talked about, but I think is super important, is giving them a sense of purpose. Why are we doing this? Follow me, but this is why we're doing that. So in our organization, because we are one of the biggest suppliers in our industry for the materials that go into electrical transformers, and over the next 30 years, electrical energy is projected to increase to anywhere from 50% to double in its demand, expansion of transportation and systems, et cetera. So our team every day has the opportunity to be a part of that transformation of our energy systems, and we work hard to help them remember that they're not just making a part out of steel, they're contributing to that bigger vision. So a sense of purpose is really important with that. So a leader, I think the more effective leaders are the ones who are able to inspire and lead as if they have no power, and as opposed to kind of a command and control approach that often comes from a military hierarchical kind of model.
Yeah.
So that's a manager versus a leader.
Yeah. Well said.
From your perspective, is it a matter of like, can I find a leader to hire? Do I build a leader? Is it mostly managers out there? What are you seeing, and how do you build leaders if you can?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I do believe you need to have a certain mindset and a certain philosophy about how you deal with people to be a leader. So, but I do think that some people are naturally more inclined to jump in leadership than others. It's the person who sees a problem and is attracted to that and solve it as is kind of the one who is going to be inclined to lead. But I think everybody has that inside of them. It's just a matter of bringing that out. But you need to start with a genuine and authentic capacity to connect with and know how to deal with people effectively and communicate effectively. From then, it's just learning how to influence as opposed to control, and how it's that battle of position power. Do it because I say, and I'm the boss, as opposed to, do this. I'm inviting you to do this because it's the right thing to do. It's in the direction of what we want, and you're inspiring someone. You're kind of a beacon of light and inspiration for them, as opposed to, that is not an easy skill. It requires vulnerability. It requires trust. It requires confidence in yourself. That sometimes can be pretty tough to teach. That's kind of an internal experience that the leader has to go through. So I think that's the kind of stuff that needs to happen, and have get away from this leaning on position power. The first time you lean on position power, is
compromise something.
Compromise is a good word. Compromise is a good word. You confuse the other person, and some people think that using. Some people believe that using personal power is weak and soft. It's as opposed to raw power. There's a big debate going on politically now. Is raw power versus collaboration and influence, and that's being tested now politically, and driving some of the conflict that we're dealing with, is because people are using raw power where they can, and I think that's. But I think that works only in the short term. It doesn't work in the long term.
Sure. Right.
And I think we'll find in our current situation that raw power does eventually fade and go away, and is exposed, and hopefully good things come from that on the other side of it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the phase we're in too.
Yeah. Maybe sometimes it takes some raw power to change something that's been entrenched, but then at some point, you're right, it's got to come back to a genuine lead by influence.
Well, and there's some good, a good example of that is if you're in surgery, and you don't want your chief surgeon to be you want him to be in charge.
Yeah.
You want him to be directive.
Yes.
So I think there's circumstances where leaders need to be directive and need to be completely in charge and command that respect. But if you've done in those non-emergency situations, if you've led your team well and have earned their trust, when it comes to those emergency situations, they will respond immediately. When you say, "Hey, left, we're going left now," they will respond to that. If you've done that, but using that through ego or through insecurity, because you don't feel you have any other power than what your position gives you, and using only raw power is can be really detrimental for people's relationships. They may comply, but they're not really going to follow.
They'll say yes, but we often call that relationship capital or social capital, not to put it in terms of but if you're the type of leader that is constantly building trust and connection and inspiration and room to grow and try, and when the time comes when you really need everybody, you've earned it. Versus
and I think a structure or a system that's built on raw power is very, it's like a house of cards. That isn't built on the human connection and the systems there. All of a sudden, it becomes every man for themselves. And that just doesn't work. Whereas the human system, if you build a team that's aligned and connected with each other, that has a lot more strength in its fabric than that. So I think we might witness some of that in the next few years. In some of our political systems.
I'm sure we'll see that. You are so full of wisdom, and we've had some conversations before about some ideas you have around the hero's journey. I'm really also fascinated. I want to maybe hear if you want to talk about that a little bit, or I am interested in your trusted advisor influence. If you're okay talking about
Sure.
that
I'm,
would
I'm
be
okay to talk about
fascinating.
both, whichever
I
one,
think. Yeah.
whichever you want me to talk about
And,
first.
and maybe we can connect it to leadership at some point down the ramp. But could you tell us about what you did with, I always call it Maester's work
Sure.
around trusted advisor and how that.
Sure. So we started, in my early days, I've a engineering degree and business as well, but my origins are in engineering. So for the first 10 years or so, I kind of was technical, business, marketing, sales, kind of all mixed together. And so I was really fortunate in one of my early parts of my career to be in an organization that really focused very heavily on value generation and value-based selling. And so I have a really deeply grounded work in that, and value-based selling or value-based business relationships are really built on the foundation of trust. And so I was really fortunate to have that early belief. About 15 or so years ago, I was first introduced to the trusted advisor, Charlie Green, and some of the original work that you referred to with Meister's kind of research around trust and what trust, the components of trust, and they talk about the trust equation and how to apply it. A lot of the original work seems to me to be designed around advisory kind of professional services,
right?
Consultants, that kind of thing, but I worked with a couple of very insightful advisors that I had in our business that we have developed and worked with a model that applied a relationship model from stranger through to trusted advisor, strategic ally for business-to-business relationships. And it was a 5-step process. You start with strangers, which are limited relationship. And then, partway through that, you get to a point where you're a supplier and a preferred supplier. And that's in manufacturing. A lot of times people stop at, my goal is to be the preferred supplier. We took it to the next level and said, okay, we think there's another couple of steps along here, the way here, if we can earn enough trust with our clients to become strategic partners with them, that we've aligned our strategy with their strategy. We are bringing value above and beyond just the products we're providing. We're bringing engineering services. We're giving business support, guidance, market intelligence, et cetera, to the point where we are really starting to create value for their business, not just inherent in the products we're having. So we started to really work on that and have some really great examples in the past 15 years where we've gotten to a really deep level with our clients on many of those things. So the final 2 sections or phases of that relationship in the business-to-business model was trusted advisor and strategic ally. So you get kind of the ultimate we were kind of focusing on is helping our clients or invite our clients to get to a point where they saw us as a strategic ally. They needed something, they picked up the phone and called us and say, hey, we have over the last 15 years, I would say 10-ish relationships where at some point, given the needs of our client's business, we were there. They needed to grow, they needed to transform, whatever, and it's really been a valuable journey there. So we used some of the basic principles around how to build trust with the trusted advisor work and that model. We trained our sales team about 7-8 years ago in that trusted advisor level of work. And in manufacturing products, that's sometimes really tough to do, that is to create that kind of level of business relationship because the focus is so heavily on the price of your product. Trust requires a lot of vulnerability, but where we've managed to break through and earn that, it's been very fulfilling and very rewarding. And in times that we're dealing with right now, most of our clients' businesses are poised for rapid growth. However, we're dealing today with heavily escalated costs for tariffs, and especially with our U.S. clients and a lot of uncertainties around that. Our industry in general is threatened daily by overcapacity in China in every segment of our supply chain, from materials, components, finished equipment. So there's a lot of threats and challenges to that, and we have a number of clients that we're leaning in with to deepen our strategy together and look together at the long run and say how are we going to be successful together. So that trusted advisor work has really been really helpful. I think we have uniquely adapted some of the original work that Charlie and the group there had done, and the owner of Trusted Advisor Associates, Noelle, and I have become good friends the last 5-6 years,
cool.
and
Wow.
she to the point where she trusted me enough to invite me on their advisory board.
That's awesome.
So you become
anyway,
a trusted advisor.
I'm your advisor to the trusted advisor.
Yeah.
That's high level.
So
That's great,
that I'm really pleased with that. And,
Yeah.
but it's been a good journey. I've learned a lot, and it's it's not a straight line up, and
Sure.
there's a lot to you need. I tell our team all the time, the day we get a long-term agreement with somebody signed is the day one of the hard work.
Yeah.
The hard work was not getting the agreement.
Yeah.
The hard work was earning
The opportunity.
earning and creating the value
Yeah.
every day
Right.
that we have to. So
Yeah.
so we focus on that a lot. And I talked to you first about a year ago about
Yeah.
kind of maybe expending some of the work I was doing. A couple of the things that really were foundational for me in terms of my thinking and whatever success I may have had in my career were the Dale Carnegie program and the work I did with the team at Trusted Advisors. So.
Yeah.
If you could maybe draw that back, you had, call it foresight, call it, it was fortuitous that you came across that work, but for leaders today in Canada, how should they look at or think about what things like this, like you've deepened relationships at a really deep level. Can we draw some kind of connection to what is required as Canadian leaders move forward? How can we think like this, or how can we develop?
Well, I think one of the things that's really important is collaboration at a business-to-business level, a business-to-government level, and even business to NGOs, those that are non-governmental organizations that are trying to support this. I think that's so critical. We've had a culture, I think, in the past where business doesn't want government in their business, and leave me alone, all this kind of stuff. And I don't think we're as successful doing everything ourselves than if we try to rally around and collaborate together. I think that's so important, to learn how to collaborate within a supply chain with suppliers and customers, with government and industry. I think that's really critically important to that. And there was some work that has been done over the last 20 years about shared value concept, and the idea that private businesses and kind of capitalism inside of that private business can be the biggest engine of transformation and change, but it can't be on its own. It needs to create a shared value model with our communities and with our people and with our governments to do that. But that all requires trust, takes collaboration, and it takes learning how to actually lean into those relationships and find a common path where it may not be so obvious, and just to work through that. And I think that's where I'm very hopeful that our current Carney, Prime Minister Carney and the government are trying to do that in the current situation. It takes a willingness on the part of industry and leaders in industry to collaborate, and I think we have some great ones that can do that. But I don't think we've found our way entirely there yet.
Yeah. It's going to take time.
Collaboration is so important with that.
Okay.
And finding new ways of collaborating.
Yeah.
Not competing, but collaborating.
Wow. So that would come back to some of those original values you said. It's vulnerability, it's trust, it's all of those things. You need that to get to a place of genuine collaboration, it sounds like.
Well, and I think that there's a couple parts of that I would say are really important. In that, to get to that level of collaboration, you need to trust, and you need to be able to be trusted, and not naively. You know, don't. A phrase I often use is trust but verify, which is probably good when you start doing that. You know, blind trust is maybe not in this context the path to go, but I think that's so important to earn that level of trust. The other thing I think that is really important is the concept of reciprocity, so that you're doing something not with the expectation of something in return, but you're giving genuinely to something greater than yourself, and you may be hopeful there's some reciprocity there, but that's really, that mindset is really necessary to create that. And we talked earlier about the how Canada responded to the Second World War and the shift in terms of shift building. I certainly hope it doesn't take that level of a crisis for us to rally around and lean into that, and that or a severe economic hardship or something. But it just takes great leadership, I think.
The time is now. Let's not wait till some kind of.
And I really like I don't know if Mike Myers was the one who created it, the elbows up thing. I even got a T-shirt. I've even got the T-shirt. But I thought that was such a great analogy. And it's, I think not enough people really understand what the whole idea of elbows up means. When our Prime Minister a couple of weeks ago kind of backed off on the retaliatory tariffs, the news media jumped on that. Elbows down. That's not what's going on.
No.
Elbows up, and I could say this because I played junior hockey in the 70s.
Oh wow!
So if you know anything about junior hockey in the 70s, it was not a genteel sport. There was a lot of elbows up at that time. But elbows up to me is not how I think a lot of people have, or at least the media has characterized it. The media has kind of characterized it as kind of fighting. That's dropping your gloves. That's not, let's talk about the tariffs and the current situation with the U.S. We need to fight that, and we need to resist that. Elbows up. If you really understand what elbows up in the corner of a hockey rink is sustaining and growing your space.
Right.
It's not about fighting. It's about I got the puck and I'm going to keep it.
Right.
And it's about making your space secure.
Right.
And protecting that.
Yeah.
And it's a protective stance, and it's one that I'm going to say strong and protect that. And I think it also means, whatever it takes for me to do that, I'm going to do. And I'm not going to just give up. I'm going to resist. I'm going to put the effort in, and I'm going to find my way. The goal is still get the puck in the net.
Yeah.
You got to protect it, and then
Contain
build out
it.
of it.
Yeah.
Build, contain, and grow out of that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what that's all about, more so than
I like that
are you
distinction.
fighting?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that comes from a guy who in the 70s knew what elbows up meant.
Yeah.
I have no cartilage in either one of my elbows because of
You've got
the elbow pad.
proof.
The old elbow pad slid down on your forearm. And, so
Not a lot of padding.
I literally know what the elbows up mean. So, or at least the hockey analogy of that.
Yeah.
So I think that's I hope that sticks, and I hope people maintain that as a kind of a rallying cry, because and I hope that our media doesn't kind of tarnish what that actually means,
Right.
Because I think it does have a great meaning and is a good rallying cry for us.
Rather than lean into like what does it mean? Like that would be like you just. Well, what would be? Canadian podcast be if we didn't talk about hockey somehow, an analogy of related to business and leadership, and
it seems to make sense to me.
Yeah.
It was interesting how all at this time in the the tariffs and the elections and all coincided with the hockey tournament. What was the hockey tournament actually called?
It was was it Five Nations Cup or
Four Nations?
Four Nations.
Nations
something
Cup,
Nations Cup. I can't remember.
Yeah. And
there was really only 2 nations.
It really was, that mattered to us at that moment, and there's other nations that were really great hockey nations not participating, but of course the one that really mattered to us.
Yeah. I was
meant
very
a lot
happy.
to us.
I was very happy when Connor scored that goal.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, I think we all were. We're all, it was a good
and
rallying cry.
he was due to score at that point
Yeah.
too. So my son was Connor. My son and Connor were roommates in junior.
Oh my
When
goodness.
they were in Erie, yeah. So,
Wow.
so I have a personal connection with that. I was
No
really
kidding.
happy to see
Ah,
that.
so that just really personally meant a lot to you.
Yeah.
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 Not just like your average Canadian rooting for
Yeah, we're
Connor because we know he's the
happy-
greatest. Or
happy to see
Yeah.
him do so well. So yeah.
That's
That's
awesome.
amazing.
Wow.
What a story.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing.
If you were to, I know you things about productivity, and one of the big parts of productivity is reinvesting in equipment and reinvesting in innovation and things like that. What would you say to leaders that they should do to get more productivity going? What should they invest in from your
I think
business point of
like we talked about originally, I think productivity comes from adding more value from the resources you've got. So you look at the simple definition of what is a country's productivity is what is its output compared to its human inputs, and that's simply that. And it really boils down to creating more value. If you extract rare earth metals from our vast resources, refine them, and make finished products of it, you're making more value and creating more productivity for our country. I think we need to have more of what I might call a builder's mindset, and one that actually is around building a business, expanding, creating value, and I think also we need to be more strategic as a country, and I do think the federal government can play a role in this. We need to be more strategic as a country in picking what industries we need to really build our economic value around, and do more and have a strategic export strategy around, not just leave that to individual businesses, because you see so many Canadian entrepreneurs that start a company, they get it up to a certain size, and then the next thing you know, it's sold to a American or European company, and within 5-10 years, it doesn't exist in Canada anymore.
Right.
And I think that we need to be. There's certain things that Canada has really great strengths on, and I think that the federal government now, in terms of talking about energy superpower, is one of those platforms that we need to build on. But it's energy superpower, not just in the natural resources or the fuels part of that. It's about building the capacity to, like in our industry, there's a massive shortage in North America of electrical transformers. Right. Canada and USA both need to import a lot. I read something that the US needs to import 70 to 80% of its power transformers because it just doesn't have enough capacity, and that's with whatever tariffs you might want to put on them. Yeah. Wow. So I think there's great opportunities for us, but I think we need to have a broader vision of what those strategic industries need to be. We're not a big enough country, certainly in a land concentration and population, to be everything for everybody in the world. But I think we need to pick those things that we have natural capacity to. We have great educated workforce. We have a lot of natural resources and a lot of great strengths to build on that we can export around the world. But we need to strategically work in that kind of, like I said before, shared value way, where private industry and government work together in those 4 or 5 industries and really, create a strategic plan around building Canadian capacity, building Canadian capability and innovation, and position it for export around the world.
Wow.
So in electrical energy, it could be, EVs. Our company's part of a group out of Hamilton. They developed the most advanced electric motor for automotive applications that does not require rare earth metals.
Wow.
And this is the global leading technology that is 30 minutes from where we're sitting in Hamilton, that is there to be capitalized on and taken advantage of.
Wow.
And so we do have a lot of things inside the energy sector. We have a lot of great transformer manufacturers. We have a great auto industry. We just need to figure out how to piece those together, build something strategic, unlock it, and it's a great way, a great way to put it. Because we have the people, and it all boils down to, are we as leaders able to collaborate and build that going forward? But I think we need to build it with a mind to strengthen Canada with strategic industries that can build an export capacity, and preferably an export capacity beyond just the United States.
Right on.
Right on. Well,
But it starts with a building mindset, I think, and adding value. That's how we do that.
Yeah.
building mindset, adding value, leading with trust and influence.
Yeah.
It's a good formula. I know you want to get to the hero's journey, but while you're just talking about the need for power, the exponential need for power, I know Troy was mentioning in talking to you that AI is driving a lot of that, like the servers and is AI becoming an important influence in your business and for you?
It is overwhelming to me every day to see how much of our business supplying magnetic materials and components to electric transformers that are going into data centers. Wow. It is just mind-blowing. Because if you look back 5-6 years ago, a lot of the growth in our industry was still anticipated because our grid's old, the equipment's old, needs to be replaced. EVs are coming, so we need more charging, blah, blah, blah. No one even thought about AI.
Right.
But now it's
That's 5 years ago.
That was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Now AI is just driving the conversation because the processing, the energy that data farms require for AI processing is just so intense that the amount of resources going into that is just overwhelming. And the amount that it's driving electrical energy usage and consumption is just it's almost unbelievable. I don't remember the statistics. People who are listening can look this up, but if you do a basic Google search, it takes and do the exact same search with ChatGPT, the amount of energy it takes to do the ChatGPT search versus the Google search is unbelievable. It's an unbelievable multiple.
Wow.
Yeah.
So data centers are really driving that. But so if you think about that, the formula in front of us in terms of clean electrical energy, and this is where Canada really has a huge advantage because we have, if not certainly by size, one of the cleanest electrical systems in the world because of the amount of hydroelectric power we have, the amount of nuclear power we draw from. We have over 80% of our electricity generation is what's considered green or clean energy. And that's a model for the rest of the world. So we should be kind of building on that. But if you just looking at the sheer demand, especially around the world, in not just in North America or Europe, but China, North America, Europe, Asia, and India is just getting started. So you think about all the electricity demand that's going to be and energy demand that's going to come from that. It's just massive.
Right.
Our entire transportation system, or a large part of our transportation system, may shift to electrical energy from petroleum and oil-based fuels. China's already there. 70% of new vehicles in China are EVs.
Really?
So that's all coming. So that data centers, and the fact that we've got an old grid that needs to replace. You know, all those things come together with just a massive demand in front of us, and but it's going to really take a strong collaborative effort on everybody's part to build the electrical system that supports that. Right. It's not going to be just a few handful of companies, and that's one of the areas why I said I think that our government can really be a part in terms of leading that as a energy superpower part of our economic platform and what we choose to add value and export around the world.
Right. Not to get into it, but you know, from a political standpoint, but they can play a major factor in it and unlocking that, obviously, from a business.
Oh, absolutely.
And investment.
Absolutely. Investment. Yeah, you know, I kind of alluded to it a little bit before.
Yeah.
Given, you know, China's got a unique position with our electrical energy sector, both in materials and equipment. And EVs, for example, because if you go back the last 25 years, they've been building their electrical system. They've been, you know, they're on kind of, they've built their system, they've modernized it, and they're on kind of the crescendo of their growth peak with that,
and newer technology.
And with newer technology, whether that's EVs, whether that's in our industry like transformers or motors, and the materials that go into it. So they're kind of hitting their stride as of that and exporting a lot of that technology, whereas we built our electrical grid between 1945 and 1980, and just kind of said, okay, it can run itself now. So we've kind of been in maintenance mode for a long time. So you know, we're just starting to run when it comes to rebuilding and expanding our electrical system. They've been running for 25 years, and so the Chinese capacity for this, you know, aside from the politics and the trade position, Canadian companies aren't going to invest if they don't have some shielding to, you know, the kind of pricing that the economic system in China can't protect it from or shield it from. So, you know, those are also big important policies that we need to set, because I think we want to build I certainly advocate building our own capacity to build the equipment, the materials, et cetera, here in Canada for that, and not rely on other countries for our basic infrastructure like electricity, even the equipment that goes into that. I think we need to do that ourselves, or at least be strongly capable of that. That can be one of our superpowers.
Well, this is great because it's such a inspiring. You know, if the narrative in our business world looks grim, or so, you know, our business and our worries. All you see is opportunity and capability and possibility. I'm sure for our, you know, business people listening to this and leaders listening to this, they you know, that will really impact and influence their vision and foresight.
Well, I think you touch on an important point, Kevin. It is, you know, in any disruptive change, and we're in a disruptive change period, there's certainly a lot of threats, a lot of challenges that are really, really severe. But if you have the capacity to look through that and find the opportunities, and that's where the real gold is. Like, it's easy to see all the threat and the dread and this is going to happen, and it's easy to see the dark side of it. But if you look at the opportunities there, and I think that's one of the things that we need to do, where are the opportunities that this is creating? And how do we need to think about and look at something different? How does our mindset need to shift because the circumstances around us have changed? Those are really important things for us as leaders in Canada to embrace, not just. And I think that's a big part. You know, we talked a little bit too before about elbows up. I think there's another part of that that really I think is important for my definition of that. It's not just about defending; it's about defending and building. And you need to see through the short-term chaos, because if you only work on defending, you're only gonna get worse.
Right. You're playing
You're
defense.
never going to get any
You're never
better.
playing
You're
offense.
100% playing defense.
Yeah.
If
You're on your toe or on your heels.
Correct.
Rather than,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
let's keep
keep going
keep
with
playing the hockey analogy.
Yeah, of course. And we always see that's always a disaster when that happens.
Well, and we do need to be defensive. We need to be defending our stance. We need to be maintaining our space, but we need to do it with a vision to build.
Yeah.
Nobody created a vision around defending.
Right.
Defending is important, but you need to build at the same time, or have a building mindset at the same time you're defending. And I think that's really important that we in Canada think about what we need to build.
Right.
And how do we need to build it, and what's it going to look like?
Right.
You need to see through today's chaos and today's threats and fears to what's on the other side of that, and what can you build out of it? Because I think without that, if you're only defending, you're not ultimately. You haven't got the right vision of what you need to do. And
well, that's it. You can't, for practical business. Putting that in just practical business sense, and small businesses, and of course Ontario, Maritime made up so much of small, medium-sized businesses. You can only cut costs so much. You can only manage your resources so much. At some point, you got to get back onto that value creation. What's the strategy here to create value for our customers or our in our industry, our partners, and get busy at that, versus being in that scarcity kind of mindset.
Well, you're right. It does take an attitude of abundance and a mindset of abundance, as opposed to a mindset of scarcity. And I think that you can't build something if you out of a sense of scarcity.
Yeah.
And I really do think that, and there's work by a British philosopher, I guess I'd call him, by the name of Snowden, who talked about what really drives creativity and innovation. I think I sent you the video link the other day, didn't I? And he talks about, real true creativity and innovation comes from a pressure of time and a scarcity of resources.
Right.
And
of course.
But but it also requires a third thing. It requires a perspective shift. You need to shift your mind away from, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough resources, I don't have enough people, I don't have enough time, to, I got a problem to solve, I have a scarcity of resources, I have a pressure of time, but I got to get it done.
Right.
And
what ways
that's
can
when
we?
real creativity comes in. Creativity never came out of a complacent, a casual approach to things. It came when your back was against the wall.
That's it.
Well, we can start wrapping here. We have a sentence for you to complete.
Okay.
We didn't prep you with this or anything, really. We didn't prep you
Did
with
you say a
anything.
sentence?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this sentence.
We'll have to have another session on Hero's Journey, because I think that's an important part of this too.
Well, we can still do that.
Yeah.
we can. Let's talk it. No,
It's your
let's talk
time.
It. Yeah.
Great.
Let's do it. Yeah. Well, tell us about how you relate to that idea. Like, Hero's Journey, I know, is like not a trope. What's the word? It's a archetype. I'm not thinking of it.
Yeah, that's probably,
is that the right word?
archetype's probably, or a model or something like that. That's probably a good word. We don't have enough time to really go into too much depth about the hero's journey. But if you don't know anything about it, it's a framework or approach, an idea that was created by a guy by the name of Joseph Campbell many decades ago, and he was, I guess, the most notoriety he got from it. He was a consultant with George Lucas on Star Wars. So the basic storyline around Star Wars has been built around Luke Skywalker's path through the hero's journey.
Right.
And to simply put it, it's the kind of the way human beings go through transformational change in themselves. And it's a fairly complex model, but I think it is a really good representation of how human beings go through transformational change, and then they come out of that change a different person. Like Luke Skywalker went from the farmer who'd never left his planet to, you know, saving the universe.
So that's where you really relate to this, the Luke Skywalker farmer.
Well, but yeah, again, do your own research on it. But a lot
business
of,
Jedi.
Well, you know, not exactly that. But a lot of the most successful movies attribute their success to following the path. Lord of the Rings also follows that path.
Sure.
You know,
The
again,
Matrix.
The Matrix follows that path.
Yeah, they all follow.
It's about someone who's like a humble, you know, simple person, you know, going through significant challenges and facing, you know, and in some examples in the hero's journey, they go facing your dragons.
Yeah.
And the dragons are really the challenges you face in your life. I often believe that, you know, life gives us the challenges that we need, not the ones that we want.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit like that. If you're prepared to really lean into those challenges, and I think maybe Canada's in that spot now. You know, is the world and the U.S. giving us the challenges we need now to be a bigger, better nation that can be a leader in so many ways around the world for positive things. Is that the challenge that life's presenting our country with?
Right.
But the hero's journey is for me a big factor in terms of personal transformational change. It's sometimes that is thrust on you, sometimes you seek it, and I think that's a really important part of our Canadian society to fulfill its potential and become what we're going to become in the future. Is we need to really look at that and recognize we need to make, as a country, some changes for the betterment of our society, for our children, for our grandchildren, in terms of where Canada's place fits in the world. And I think, you know, we've got some great examples of where we've done it as a country in the past. Second World War is a great example. We were really lifting above our weight, I think, in the Second World War, and I think we've got one of the most educated workforces in the world. We've got one of the, you know, richest natural resources in the world. You know, that's why Donald Trump wants us. So, you know, I think,
right.
you know, because we've got all of that, and we just need to figure out what we want to be and how to build from that. But it does cause transformational change, and the hero's journey is one that says if you choose to go on that journey, you're going to face some challenges that you may not feel that you've got the capacity to overcome, but you know, find the allies that you need, find the mentors you need, and supporters to actually help you learn and grow and fulfill what your destiny is on the other side of that. And I think the hero's journey is an interesting model of life. It doesn't present life as a comfortable, you know, put your feet up, you know, straight up. It's a life of facing personal growth and challenges and obstacles that you don't think you can overcome. And I'm not saying something that some of my team doesn't know, but they know I get a big kick out of helping some of our folks realize that they can do more, be more than they thought they could. They think I'm a bit of a jerk giving them a challenge that it's impossible, but
really the end, what you're doing, you're seeing what the potential in them and belief in them.
You know, we have lots of great examples where our team started out, whether they said it out loud or not, thought something in front of us was impossible, but with on the journey getting there, hold on, we just did what we said was impossible. So it's really, I'm really fulfilled when some of our team actually kind of rises to the challenge, and you know, they do that every day in different ways. But again, it's all based on what I think is a fundamental framework built and the hero's journey. And if anybody listening's interested in that, I'd certainly encourage you to do a little bit of research on if you're interested in personal growth, how to take on big challenges in your life and be successful at it. And even though it's scary and you think you're going to fail, just keep working through it. And that's an interesting model, because on the other side of it, it's really rewarding. So.
Love it. Wow. This is amazing. Here, last question.
So
Canadian,
you're inviting me back?
Yeah.
We'd love to invite you back. We'd
I'd
love
love
to.
to expand
There's
the
so
hero's
much more we'd
journey.
love to go on this. Yeah.
Kevin's gonna go out and read it all after.
Yeah, I am. I saw how you framed Dale Carnegie experience, like you wrote about the Dale Carnegie experience and the hero's journey and that experience. So I was into that, and then I did, get into it a little bit more. So you've already kind of impacted me like that. So that's
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hero's journey, and I guess what we're saying to leaders is, if you consider that as a model, that let life teach you as you grow and as you face all these challenges, there is a great upside to it, but you're not going to see it in the short term. The hero's journey reminds us that trust in this process. It's proven time and time again. This is what makes average people great, I guess, or stronger.
I think so. And we're gonna, if our country's gonna face the challenge in front of us, we're gonna have to take that approach, because the safe, low risk,
maintain status quo.
Maintain status quo path is not going to serve us well. We're going to need to face the challenges, take some risks, be open to failing, be vulnerable, and just go and learn along the way. And that's the only way to learn, is really to risk making some mistakes along the way.
right.
But we're not going to find it by the safe way, or by the known path. We're going to have to carve our own path through here, with all of its uncertainties and all of its challenges, and we don't know what's around the corner. And we have to be accepting of that. We need to be explorers a little bit in that mindset, so that we can be open to the unknown in front of us.
Here's the question, and then we'll think. Canadian leaders will win when? How would you finish that sentence? Canadian leaders will win when?
We learn, we learn how to collaborate, as well as we learn how to compete. To me, that will be the definition of winning. That we will be as strong at collaborating as we are competing, and find the creative tension that comes from that. And that's within supply chains, within industries, and with our government departments and leadership.
Nicely said.
Wow. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Ron Harper, we just want to thank you for being with us. You're inspiring, you're thoughtful, your experience shines through, and I just hope our listeners who are hearing this trust in that wisdom if they're feeling a little bit uncertain about the future, if they're feeling scared, if they're wondering, how do I succeed in this environment? We can look to your experience to say, it's possible, future can be bright, it can be amazing, and just trust in some good fundamentals you've talked about today. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you for the invitation. I'm happy if you want me to come back and
Yeah, that'd be great.
Contribute in any way. And it's a real privilege to be able to share some of our experiences, and I hope that some of it has resonated with the folks that are listening, and maybe a source of inspiration or activation in terms of what they want to contribute and what they want to give, and to help them fulfill their potential, and I hope that's part of what some people take out of this.
Well, I'm sure it will. I know it will. I hope this reaches a lot of people for them to inspire them. So again, thank you for investing your time and wisdom with us.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.